my name is Madelaine Horn. I am a professional dominatrix, a stripper of 20 years, and a writer. I got started modeling pretty young. I grew up with heroes like Masumi Max and Dee Teese. So pretty much as soon as I was 18, I got contacted by a manager who brought me to LA and started booking me on photo shoots. A lot of them were more like kinky and adult type stuff. Some of the very first stuff I did was chloroform fetish and tickle fetish videos. So, yeah. So I started in kink when I was like 14 years old. I was always sneaking into places that I wasn't supposed to, and I did a fetish event where I was a model for a local store that was like a BDSM store, and I met a dominatrix at that event, and she offered to have me apprentice under her, and so I did for a little bit until she ultimately found out how old I was, and that terminated that for the meantime. And but I already had the bug, so I mean, I've been performing in burlesque and striptease for my entire adult life, and I've done a lot of fetish events, fetish parties, that kind of stuff. So I've been looking more like for the past 5 years for something to transition out of dancing, because dancing gets really hard on the body after a while, and you can't really do it forever. And my best friend is Damazonia, who is a incredible world-renowned dominatrix, and she has been offering training and apprenticeships, and so I did her course, and as soon as my first day of the course, I was like, I love this. So yeah, I've been doing it professionally for about 1.5 years, and no looking back. Well, I love a whip, a single tail bull whip. Love that. I've been having to take a break from that right now because I have golfer's elbow from dancing, which doesn't allow me to get a good crack right now without pain. But that is my usual go-to. I love CBT, so like anything that I can torture balls with and like just really create pain in the male genitalia parts is real fun for me. Yeah. I think subspace is just when somebody feels a full sense of safety surrendering. I think it probably is different for every sub, what they feel when they get into that really delicious sort of surrender, but I think that's what it ultimately is just letting go and feeling safe to let go. Top space is feeling complete control and feeling, for me, I feel like almost like a mad scientist sometimes. Like I want my sub to just let me play, and I like to try different devices and put different nipple clamps on in a different row and just see, like, it's like me just like playing to see, how do you feel? What does that feel like? It's like yeah, for me, it's like being a mad scientist. Yeah, because it was fairly recently, and it was a sub who came to me with my favorite kind of play. So he was into extreme CBT and ball busting. So I started out by kicking him with a pair of, I have these boot harnesses that are nice and spiky, And so I started by kicking him in the balls with those on. And then we moved on to piercing. And I pierced around the lip of the tip of his dick with 18 gauge needles. And then I pierced down the shaft. And I had his balls tied up and connected to a pulley from the ceiling, and was just slowly pulling on that while we were doing all the piercing stuff. And that was delicious. I mean, I feel like for me, dressing is a important ritual. Just getting, I feel like when I'm in boots and leather and just the type of clothing that I like to wear in a session, that really is the ritual of me almost putting on my Dom persona. And yeah, I feel like that's an important part for me. But yeah, just preparing, getting the tools out that I'm going to use. Usually I go around and I grab anything that I know that for sure I'm going to want to play with. And I suppose that's my ritual. I would say maybe go to a fetish event and just observe, see what stands out to you as what you might want to do. And if you're a shy person, I would say, I mean, it depends, obviously, if you're more of a sub or more of a fetishist or a top. But if you're a sub and you're shy, then book a session with a dom, because it's one-on-one, it's very private, and it's a really good way to get in the door. Because with my subs, a lot of the ones who have come to see me for sessions, often they will become, they'll still see me for sessions, but I'll call on them just to do little tasks for me and stuff every once in a while. And I feel like that's a good way to get started with any mistress, is just book a session, I have been a stripper for almost 20 years. I'm in my 19th year. I pretty much knew that I wanted to be a stripper as soon as I knew what a stripper was. So it was pretty easy for me to get into. And, like I mentioned before, Masumi Max, Dina Von Teese were heroes of mine, and they were both strippers at one point and feature dancers. So I also did burlesque for a while. And I feel like dancing is something I'm always going to want to do. It's getting to a point where I'm considering transitioning out of it professionally now, because to be doing several shows a day every day, it's just really hard on the body. But I love being on stage and I love putting on a show. So I feel like now, with Burlesque Hall of Fame having the Legends Night and all that, I feel like there's no need for anyone to stop performing, and that will probably always have a place for me. So I've also been writing poetry and stuff pretty much since I was a teenager. And I feel like nowadays it's harder and harder to get published, because there is so few actually printed magazines and newspapers and stuff anymore. So I met someone at the club that I work at in Vancouver, and he said that they were looking for somebody to write about sex work. And I was like, me, I do that. And it just seemed like a perfect serendipity moment. And so I've been writing for the Vancouver newspaper, the Georgia Straight, for the past year. And I write about feminism, sex work, BDSM, gender issues, that kind of stuff. And I love it. I mean, I feel like it's changed a lot since when I started 20 years ago. When I started modeling, there was a very small group of kinky, beautiful women, doing it. And it was, if you worked with the right people and you had the right look and you were, easy to work with and fun and everything, it was pretty easy to get your name out there. And I feel like I made a name for myself pretty young doing it, and it was really fun. And then now with the internet kind of changing, like the emergence of social media and stuff, it's like there's so many people doing it now, and that's, you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it's a good thing because there's so many interesting people for us to get to know, like visually out there, you know, and so many more subjects for photographers and an outlet for photographers to learn and to, you know, sort of like newbies to work with each other and, you know, build a portfolio and stuff. But it also kind of means that I don't think anybody like makes any money at it anymore, you know, because it's just, there's no real supply and demand. It's like such a saturation of both models and photographers that, you know, and with OnlyFans, I do feel like it's great for models, you know. OnlyFans really, especially early on before the pandemic, and like the pandemic, kind of everybody hopped on board. But before that, it was like the girls who had already been online doing, you know, alternative stuff and kink stuff. And like I started off, I don't know why people love to see me smoke. So like I've been doing like smoking custom content for, I think I probably did my first custom video when I was 22, which is a long time ago now. And so when somebody told me about OnlyFans, I was like, oh, this is great, you know, and I got on it. And I think I started on in 2018 on OnlyFans, and didn't really put a lot of work into it, but it was a great venue just to like, you know, meet people who wanted custom stuff or whatever. And then 2020 came, everyone was inside, and OnlyFans blew up because everybody needed to make money still, you know, none of our bills stopped coming up. So I noticed a difference then, as far as like suddenly big names are on there and they're selling stuff for like $3, and they're making a ton of money because they have a huge audience so they can sell it. But then everybody expects things to be sold for $3. And when you don't have that size audience, you know, you can't make any money selling anything for $3. So, you know, it kind of hurt the OG sex workers in the long run, which is unfortunate. I do feel like it's starting to rebuild in the right direction now, but yeah, it's been a tough ebb and flow, I think. So I wrote an entire article about social media censorship and the ingrained misogyny that is in social media. So sex workers have been sort of being punished since the beginning. Like even MySpace wasn't nearly as bad, but I remember having pictures taken down even back in the day. So like I'm an OG bad girl. But nowadays it's like especially with Instagram, we all kind of need it to make a living and to promote ourselves because there's not really any competition. I mean, there's Twitter and there's Instagram, and that's, you know, there is Facebook, but who's really using Facebook nowadays? It's Twitter and Instagram are the options, you know? So if you're in any kind of like entertainment or, you know, adult work, you need to promote that. That just is the nature of the business. And the community guidelines are constantly changing. They're constantly moving the bar for like what is considered like too much, and we're not moderated equally. Like Kim Kardashian is constantly posting stuff that has my stripper friends deleted. And the thing is that technically it's usually within said community guidelines, but they make them intentionally vague because I think that they really are malicious in trying to cut out sex workers, you know? Like I do feel like it's not just like, oh, you're, you know, going against our rules, and our rules, we're allowed to have rules. I think that they're intentionally vague. They don't want sex workers on their platform, and they don't want sex positive people. It's like there is fundamental Christianity interwoven into not only politics, but also all of our social media systems, you know, and it really hurts a lot of people. I was just listening to Elon Musk talk on Joe Rogan today, and he was saying, well, you know, we're not going to create a Tesla phone unless they start, you know, unless Apple starts really like cracking down and creating censorship on their like apps or whatever. And I was like, what do you mean? They're already doing that. It's just that men aren't as affected, so nobody thinks about it. It's like, it's still this patriarchal thing, but like when you think about it, like OnlyFans can't be an app because they have adult content. And so that's censorship. If you can't have adult content, I'm sorry, we're all like, if you have a phone, usually you're an adult or you're under an adult, you know? Why can't we have adult apps? It doesn't make any sense. So like, I really wish that more people who are talking about the censorship issue, especially like since Elon Musk has bought Twitter, like the free speech has become such a hot topic. And I am very pro free speech, but like pro free speech for everyone, not just like cis white men, you know, like free speech for sex workers too. So yeah.